Nothing worth having comes easy. Success is forged through discipline, action, and resilience. Welcome to Forged, the podcast for those who build, scale, and lead with relentless drive, bringing you real conversations, real strategies, and real results.
Well, hello, everybody. Here we are. Last time we were here, 2022.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So
You lost your hair since then.
I lost a little and I grayed up a little too.
You did. You mentioned that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're glad to be back. We just thought we'd try to ease into this a little bit, give us some ideas of how the market's the same and how it's different over time.
Yep.
So Sean Anderson over here on my right, your left, and me, and then Chris Bertinoli on my left.
So
And we're the crew, Anderson Hicks Group. So welcome to our, welcome.
and it's more than that now. That's like we're trying to figure out what we're going to call this podcast, because it was the AHG way, but now, I mean, since 2022 doing this, and that was kind of why we stopped doing this. We got busy.
Yeah.
All three of us got busy. We were chasing all sorts of different things and different businesses. So, well, I mean, let's talk about that really quick and maybe introduce some of those. We have the Anderson Hicks Group, the real estate team, which is still cranking, and super grateful for that team and the people we have.
And since that time, we've really gotten pretty deep into land development, construction, rehabbing of homes. We've been pretty big on that, and which has been a focus. We've got mortgage that Chris has been rocking and rolling with for us, and then we've got a great tech product that's just gone on national launch that Sean's managing with our other partner, John, who's involved with that product. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's been. When did we finish up last round of podcasts? Was it 2 years?
2022.
That's
It was
okay.
the last one we did. So
My math says 3 years.
3. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's been a ride. We've been just head down, grinding all these different things. That's a good
So what's our
summary.
tech product? You don't
Yeah,
keep
Area
it a
Pro.
secret?
Area Pro is what that's called. It's a product for real estate agents, so they can keep a finger on the pulse of what's happening in the market and have a tool to take to buyers and sellers to be able to walk them through what's happening in the market in a way that's understandable and compelling.
Cool.
Yeah. AI too. It has AI.
Has AI?
Every good tech product in 2025 has AI.
Yeah. Pretty cool thing. If you're ever sitting with one of our agents, be sure to ask him about the Polygon feature. That's just like the coolest thing. Pretty awesome.
right.
Part of the tech advancement.
Well, and that's keeping Sean busy. Sean cranked over here today. He said, I got to be here at 2:30, and then I got to be out of there at 3:30 to do demos. Like, you've been doing demos, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. We're launching a new team down in Orem, Utah. It's got 10 agents, and we're doing a training this afternoon for them. So it's fun.
That's cool. That's
really
exciting.
fun.
Yeah, so big changes, and it really is good to be back, and we can talk about the market. Everybody's always curious about the market right now because of interest rates and all the things you hear on the news, and is what's happening nationally, what's happening locally.
Right.
And is our homes selling, or are they not selling? It's wintertime. Do homes sell in January, yes or no? February?
They do.
Really?
They do. I want to mention one other thing before we move on from some of these businesses. One of the things we did was partner with Place as well. That's a huge, it was a huge step for our team. Place partnered with our real estate team. We brought in some really cool partners in Ben Kinney and Chris Suarez, and it's been amazing for us. They've empowered our real estate team in multiple ways. We can offer more things to our agents now than we've ever been able to offer. I mean, insurance benefits, that's unheard of in real estate. Stock options, unheard of in real estate.
Revenue share.
Revenue, the best technology that exists. I think that's, one of the things with Area Pro. They're our partners on that. And Brivity and all the technology that they're bringing to the industry that's really empowered us as a team as well. So,
well, and one of the reasons we did that too, we talk about partnership, and of course we're talking right now about the benefits to our agents and our staff, our support staff, our success team, which is, that's real. But there's also tools, and it creates standardization because there are place partners all across the country. Over 400 teams. I don't know how many agents that is, but when you assume that there's roughly 10 to 15 agents per team, it's turning into a lot of people. So it standardizes systems, standardizes and helps with marketing approaches, gives us more nationwide exposure to what's going on, keeps us in tune with the new wave and innovations that happen with marketing, and it just helps us stay out in front. And the more out in front we are, it helps us stay out in front for you, whether you're buying or selling.
That's right.
Just in your real estate transactions.
Well, and they don't partner with just anybody. Goldman Sachs bought into them and what they're doing. They invested in this company, and they will only invest and partner with teams that are actually doing more than 100 transactions a year or 100 million in revenue. And so you've got to be a substantial team to be able to partner with them. And, they have programs to help some of the teams that are coming up, but it's one of the coolest programs that I've ever seen and been a part of. So
yeah,
really cool.
Been instrumental in, with every business you really strive, and I don't care who's listening, if you have a business, a small business or a large business, one of those things that drives you first and foremost is your culture. And it's just crazy that an organization the size of Place can share a culture across the board that so it's helped us stabilize our culture, which has always been a goal and something we always feel like we're good at. We always felt like we were good at. We just realized that this has taken us to the next level, which again, when we have that inside, that helps outside. For
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. So you're the area pro guy. What's going on with the market around here anyway?
Boy, I was trying to think what it was doing when we were talking last. It was staggering at that point in time. If you're from Idaho Falls, I know our audience will probably be broader than that, but we were in a shock wave from about middle of 2020, which at that point in time we were wondering if we were going to survive. No one knew what COVID was going to do. We were waiting for the announcement to come out whether or not we were going to be essential and able to work. We weren't sure what was going to happen, and we did not predict what was going to happen in our market in this area. So anyway, we got down to like 2 weeks worth of inventory, which is a really extreme seller's market. And it's definitely stabilized since then. I would say across the board in Bonneville County, it's really balanced right now. So certain price ranges are not balanced. They're starting to tip the other way, of course, but still, right now, it's balanced, which means prices are stabilizing, which is good. I think that's healthy. There's a lot of folks that want to see them go backwards, but now they've been we went, Mike, from $200,000 average purchase price in mid 220 to $425 today. In a short amount, and it was over 400 within 2 years.
Yeah,
and so which is really, that's tough for locals, really.
Chris and I were talking beforehand. I'd gone back and looked at 2022. That wasn't that long ago, but in 2022 we saw a huge escalation of values that occurred through the first 4 or 5 months of 2022, and in fact we got our absolute highest values that we struck in July to August of 2022, and we measure a lot by price per square foot, and we got as high as $176 per square foot on an average. Yeah. And then as interest rates really had their impact, it brought the market back in 2022 as fast as it took it up. And by the end of the year, we were back down into the $150 range. So it was a really fast change. And then since then, as you mentioned, the market's been stabilizing. Each price range is a little different, or property type, whether you're new construction or $1 million home versus a $250,000 home. Every market's different, but I can tell you as a universal statement, stabilization with slight increases now is really kind of the thing. Mm-hmm. How would you say?
I would agree with that 100%. I think affordability has been a big thing with interest rates. That's what we've seen. And to Sean's point, in 2020, 2021, it was just I've actually had a lot of conversations with people just about how easy business was to do then. We were all nervous. We were all kind of freaking out. And like Sean said, we didn't know if we were going to be essential, but we had never really, now in the rearview mirror, we can see the government was handing out free money. Interest rates were low. It was like handing out free money that way too. Everybody was approved, and so you had this massive demand on everything. And so when we were nervous, it was actually just this free-for-all. Like, it was just people were selling houses, and And so then when the interest rates did go up, it's affected everything. It's affected housing. I've got, my sister-in-law works at a Polaris dealership, and anything that's attached to an interest rate right now, which in 2020, 2021, 2022, you couldn't find a side-by-side or a snowmobile or a truck on Facebook.
Yeah.
And now with interest rates where they are, it's starting to kind of stabilize all those markets, and now it's kind of pushing into a little bit of a worrisome area for some of them. I was talking to her the other day, and they've got excess flooring, and now they got more machines than they know what to do with, and in certain price ranges, we're starting to see a little bit of a shift that way where, it's more of a buyer's market we're starting to see. So there is a cliff. It's that cliff of affordability, right, where it kind of drops off, and under 500,000, we still see inventory, I would say, is still short. There's a picky buyer there, and if something hits the market and it's priced right, we're still seeing, I was talking to Aaron the other day, there was multiple offers on a property, which that's still happening to some extent, but definitely not over $1 million.
So let's talk about interest rates. And you hit several things that we could talk about, I guess. So one of them is number of homes on the market since that time. So you mentioned we got down to as low as like 29, 30 houses on the market. As of this morning, and this is Bonneville County, excluding Swan Valley, there were 344 homes on the market, which is about the same as it was this time last year.
Yeah.
So not excessive by any means when you consider that's every kind of property. That's mobile homes with or without land. That's condos. That's townhomes. That's new construction. That's $1.5 million, $2 million homes on acreages. I mean, that's everything. So on the surface, 344 can sound like a lot, but when
Doesn't
you
sound
actually
like a
get
lot
to searching,
compared to 1,400 in 2008.
that's very true. So it is perspective. So the number of homes on the market has increased where it can at least be a little more comfortable trying to find something.
Yeah.
I think that's good perspective, what Sean said. 1,400 in 2008, and so it's not like it's that market. We're not in that market.
Not even
We're
close.
not into 2008, even though some people think we're headed there. But I would call it stable. You're still seeing people that are buying homes and going after it and selling homes, and you got to be. That's why Area Pro is so important. What's so cool about that product is it really helps you help your clients and people just understand where the market truly is for their home, and it lets you break it down by price range. And an educated buyer and seller right now, they can still make hay in this market. But if they're not, and they don't list it right, or they're working with somebody that doesn't have that, we are seeing that it's a challenge.
Yeah.
So
interest rates, of course, play into the affordability thing and what's on the market. So we do know that you hear about this in the national news, and for many of you listening, you may have a home where you've got that 3 to 3.5% interest rate. So you feel pretty connected to your home, and you're finding ways to stay. So the market shifts in that regard as folks try to stay in their home, and they pull equity out through equity lines to stay in their home and then still improve their home rather than moving. But you know what? Life happens. Jobs transfer. People grow up, and they get married, and they have children. People pass away. I mean, we just have all these life events that cause real estate to happen at a level no matter what. So from a national perspective, last year, there were about 3.9 million homes sold in the United States, which is actually the fewest homes in the past 25 years sold in a calendar year. So the prediction and forecast for this year, two things on the interest rate front, because we do have a lot of people who say, I'm waiting for the interest rates to go down. Right? I'm going to wait. And every prognosticator out there.
Are you about to tell us if interest rates are going? Is he about to predict the future?
No, I'm not going to predict
crystal ball.
Here's
Yep.
that,
We get asked that every day, right?
We do get asked that every day. So should I wait or should I not? And there are a lot of people who decided to wait like 2 years ago. And let's just say that our homes have appreciated 3 to 4% per year. Interest rates have not gone down, and so if you take a $400,000 home, which is our average price point, if it appreciates 4% in a year, how much is that?
Why are you asking me? And
I'm seeing
Chris?
if how your math is.
I was off somewhere else, actually. What numbers did you use? Can you
16,000 a
repeat?
year. Right?
16,000. So what's happened in a 2-year period, there's been at least $30,000 to $32,000 worth of appreciation.
Now, I didn't apply the 4% on the second year to 416. I just used 400,000.
Right.
Did you want compounding?
We need compounding.
No,
Okay,
no, I'm
And
gonna
we need
give-
the
I'm gonna
tax
give up on
benefits
that.
as well of
Rounding.
owning versus renting. Can I get that?
Such a big conversation. But, you know, the point is that
32
in that
grand,
2 years
yeah.
that people were waiting for the interest rates to drop, value went up, we'll say $30,000 to $35,000,
Right.
and the interest rate hasn't changed.
Yep.
And so what's happened is by waiting, they've lost now to go out if they decide, okay, I'm going to go buy now, which frankly you should. Don't wait, because this is the illustration of what waiting can cost you if you're thinking about buying. And the great thing about the interest rates, the loan products, you know this, so let me ask you this question. There's a couple features, right, in the loans that people want to be sure they have with regards to the interest rate, and those would be
I have no idea what you're talking about
Me
right now. I
either.
don't know
okay,
why
so
Recast.
recasting or
okay, we should go ask Sean.
Okay, tell me.
Well, if they come into a big chunk of money, they want to walk into the mortgage, into the lender and drop 100,000. They want to re-amortize the loan so their payment goes down based on that. Because if you don't have that function attached to your loan, you can still pay 100,000 down, and your interest applied will go down, but your payment doesn't change because it's still amortized over the original principal.
So the 100,000, when you say recast, they're re-amortizing.
Re-amortize the loan based on the new
Yeah.
balance after the
Right.
large down payment.
So that's feature one. And the other feature we've been talking about now is it used to be government loans were the only kinds of loans where you could have what they called a streamline refinance, which was just a simple way
Oh.
within that loan that you could, if the rates had gone down, you could refinance to that lower rate for a very minimal charge. And now on the conventional loans,
They're calling it a boomerang. Like a lot
Boomerang.
of these guys are boomeranging it back and offering that. I think
So
it's
it-
for a 2-year period. So if you buy right now and then in the first 2 years you want to take advantage of that, you have a no-fee boomerang back into a refinance. So
okay. Yeah, so we want to be sure we understand what no fee is. There are still costs. There's just no the lenders pretty much are waiving their fees, but the title companies aren't.
Right.
Right. So, which
Yeah, it's
is
funny
great.
you say that. I actually saw Cabe Call. He's a lender in our market right now, and he shared a reel the other day. And I don't know what the exact dates were, but he said in 1970, let's call it 73-ish, rates were about where they are today. 7.8 is what the reel said. And he said, the reel then said, if you waited until interest rates dropped to buy a house, you would have waited until 1993. So you take that for what it's worth. It was on social media, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the fact of the matter is I think you need to figure out how to make it work for your situation. There's a lot of different programs out there and ways to get into a house, and the benefits you just talked about are incredible. The cost of waiting to buy a house is extremely high.
And we have a great analysis that it's a cost of waiting analysis that really illustrates, and it compares the rent versus own and that cost of waiting, even with the interest rates, which, by the way, right now depends on your financing, but somewhere on the conventionals with credit scores in that 700 range, you're going to be 6 3/4 to 7%, and on a government loan, 6 1/4 to maybe 6.5. I should say 6.5 for sure, to maybe as low as 6 1/4 to 6 3/8. So, if that's still not awful, I remember, boy, when rates got down to 6% not long ago, man, we were used to those rates being way high. So 6% was just golden, and now we complain. But
Well, that's kind of what we saw last year. In Q1, the rates were as high as they'd been all year, and then it kind of tailed off after March, and we saw they were small reductions, but there was an increased demand. I think that's the other thing with waiting is, right now we just talked about there is inventory, and you do have options. And if you're going to wait for rates to drop, you're going to be with the rest of the pack. And, the minute that there's more people that are in that buyer pool, now you're competing again. Now you don't have as many options. So
Yep.
the benefits to doing it when you can are huge.
that's a great place for us to, I think we're sitting at this 19-20 minute. We should probably roll this up before everybody goes to sleep. But that's a great thing for us to talk about is what do we think happens with rates? Because eventually rates will drop some. So what do we think will happen with the market? That'd be a great place for us to go on our next session
All right.
together.
Sweet.
Nice
Cool.
job, fellas.
Hey,
Mike's
one
predicting
down.
that we're
guys.
about to predict the future.
here we are.
Mike's crystal ball.
The crystal ball.
Join us
That's-
for the next episode. Rates.
Of Crystal Ball. That's the podcast name.
Crystal
That'll
ball.
get visitors.
See
Thanks
ya.
for joining us, guys.
See ya.